welcome to another inventRight TV show. My name is Andrew Krause, and I am one of the co-founders here at inventRight. Let's just jump right to the chase. Can you license your product idea to more than one company? And the answer is yes, you can. But does it make sense? Let's find out. That's going to be the topic for today. All right, so let's jump into it. I think examples are good. So let's say you had an organizational product. It would help you organize things for the kitchen. But you could do a version of it that would help you organize things for the garage. And then maybe you got another version of it that would help you organize things for gardening. Okay. So in that particular case, it might make sense. So if these products are fairly different, you've got 3 different companies you could license to. It's a very similar product, but it's different for each of these markets. So the one in the kitchen is a little different than the one that is for the garage and the one that's for gardening. They have different purposes. The one that's gardening, you can put gardening trowels, it's going to get messy. Maybe it's a slightly different material. The one for the kitchen, maybe it's organizing cutting boards or something else. And the one for the garage is organizing tools, okay? But you've got this cool concept. And so in that case, you'd have, it's essentially, even though it's a very similar product, you can't try to force this company to go, that's selling kitchen stuff, to go, well, you should say it's for the garage and you say it's for gardening. And they're like, that's not what we do, all right? But if you have variations of this product, and one for the kitchen, one for the garage, and one for gardening, that might make perfect sense. So essentially, what you have here is you have 3 different products, not one. Because you're not going to convince a gardening company to sell where people buy kitchen stuff, or a kitchen company to sell, say, well, oh, it should be good for gardening too, because they're like, that's not what we do. There are some products where it does all these things. That's valid, and that might be one company that's selling gadgets and gizmos, and it could apply to a lot of different situations. So that definitely, in that case, it might just be one company. But in this case, if the product has variations, different benefits and features for these different markets, it's basically 3 products. It's 3 different sell sheets, 3 different marketing presentations, and it's 3 different companies. And each one of those, we teach our students to reach out to 20 or 30 companies quite often. So you'd have 20 or 30 in kitchen, 20 or 30 companies in garage, and then 20 or 30 companies in gardening, okay? So in that case, can you license to multiple companies? Absolutely you can. But here's where it doesn't make sense, and here's what people are thinking, like, nah, it's really just this product, and it's really good for kitchen, you know, and it's a product that's good for kitchen, but Andrew, I want to make more money. I want to license this to 5 kitchen companies. Well, most of the time, that ain't going to make sense. And here's why. I always use the stepping on each other's toes example. If there are 2 companies in Walmart or Bed Bath & Beyond or wherever, and they're selling kitchen cutting boards, for example, and are you going to license to both those companies and they're selling the same place, same distribution channel? You're not giving one the benefit over the other. That makes no sense at all. And you're almost always going to be doing an exclusive with one company, okay? So, but it can be broken out. Let's say a company is doing really high-end stuff. Let's say it's nice stuff for William and Sonoma. And you can negotiate a deal with them. Hey, I want to do a cheap version of this for like the dollar store. And they're like, hey, yeah, we're okay with that. Or they might be like, no, that's going to make the whole thing look cheap. Well, I can get the dollar store version. Why would I want to get the expensive version? So you have to figure out basically if 2 companies are stepping on each other's toes, are selling both in Bed Bath & Beyond, both in Walmart, both at Target, both at Home Depot, both at Lowe's, or wherever, that's not making sense. So you're not going to license to multiple companies in that situation. Now, then people go, oh, and they're disappointed. It's like, that's not disappointing. If you license this really large company and they're in Walmart, that's huge. You should be very happy about that. And they're selling, it depends on the product, 20,000 units, 50,000, 500,000 units a year. So don't think of it as you'll sell less if you license to multiple companies. Think of it as, I'm going to license to this one really big company, and they're going to blow it out there in a big way like I never could on my own. So the answer is absolutely yes, you can license to multiple companies if it makes sense. But if it's one product and you don't have different variations for different distribution channels or geographies, or again, I'm going back to that main thing. If they're stepping on each other's toes, doesn't make sense. But if you sold an organizational product, getting back to my original example, and it's for the kitchen, it's kind of like the same concept, but for the kitchen, it's holding cutting boards. For the garage, it's holding tools. For the garden, it's holding gardening stuff. They're not going to go, and you got some different features. For the gardening one, it's you make it a certain material because it's going to get dirty. In the kitchen, and you're marketing it completely different. Nobody's going to think it's the same product. Could you license to those 3 different companies in those 3 different industries? Hell yeah, you can. Does that apply to most of your ideas? Probably not. But definitely, when people approach me and they go, hey, I want to license to multiple companies, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that would work for that product. But most of the time I'm saying, yeah, it's not going to make sense. You're just going to go for one big company and license to them. So a percentage of time, it makes sense. But a lot of the time, it does not, because you don't think you're going to make more money licensing to multiple companies selling the exact same thing in the exact same stores. You're not giving one of them a leg up on the other one, and it's not going to seem attractive to them. So hopefully that was a great example of how you can license to multiple companies, but how quite often it doesn't make sense. And so you're going to be able to now analyze, when does it make sense, when does it not make sense, and be realistic about things. So remind everybody to take care, keep inventing, and we'll catch up with you guys next time. See ya. Bye.
There's a great idea in each of us. But it's truly magical to see it come to life. Sharing your creativity with the world has never been easier. We can help.